Welcome to our house in the morning. We're excited to be here in our first breakout session called Unlocking Potential, Exploring Internship and Apprenticeship Models for Inclusive Talent Development and Social Capital. I'm Gigi Shamsi-Ray. I'm from Accenture. We're a global professional services company, 730,000 people around the world with a huge commitment to apprentices. You'll hear more about that from my buddy soon. My dad actually was from Iran, and he was an apprentice in Germany. So I grew up hearing all about this amazing thing called apprenticeships. And when he came to this country, you didn't hear so much about it. So I'm personally so excited to be here today with these amazing panelists to talk about apprenticeships and internships. Let me introduce them to you. We have Maya Norville. Grew up in Corning and then went to go work for Corning, New York, and she is a community affairs project manager at Corning Optical Communications. Leveraging 18 years of experience, Maya manages global community initiatives through strategic partnerships and cross-functional teams, specializing in economic and workforce development. Maya will also be our moderator today. So I'm just going to introduce and then help keep time. Nicole Bush is here from Accenture, a native Charlottean. So we were saying, I said, "You're rare," and she said, "No, I'm not." So how many of you are from Charlotte, have grown up in Charlotte? Oh, you're right. You're right. I moved here from Texas a few years ago, and I very rarely meet people from, so that's awesome. She's from Accenture, a talent development executive. She brings over 15 years of experience in inspiring people to develop future-ready skills to cultivate their careers and enrich their lives. Sherry Jones, originally from Teaneck, New Jersey, while she was in her flower shop that her parents owned in Teaneck, New Jersey, helped with the very first apprenticeship program in Teaneck, where she actually trained apprentices to work side by side with her in her flower shop. So she now heads, let me read what we have here for her. She's a workforce and career evolution manager for the city of Charlotte. In this capacity, she collaborates with 21 different departments to create apprenticeships, implement on-the-job training initiatives, and foster career mobility, benefiting over 8,000 employees and the broader community. Her professional impact extends to regional and national publications, where she has authored articles covering topics such as networking, apprenticeships, and internships. And the highlight, not that you guys aren't the highlights, but Eddie was part of the first 2018 cohort of the City of Charlotte's apprenticeship program. So he started out very early he's now the boss. He's a construction inspector for the City of Charlotte, but he applied to the Charlotte Water Apprenticeship Program despite having no prior experience in utilities, but possessing a background as an HVAC technician. And he graduated, like I said, from the inaugural cohort of Charlotte Water's Utility Technician 1 registered apprenticeship program, and you're originally from Gastonia. Yes. So we will get started, and we're excited to hear about apprenticeships and internships. So.
Well, thank you so much, Gigi, for those great introductions. I am Maya Norville. Like Gigi said, I work with Corning Incorporated. I've been there about 3.5 years at this point. Been in the Charlotte area for about 10 years. I will be moderating this wonderful panel today, and I'm going to jump right in. So let's do this. So let's talk. Well, first, let me gauge the room. How many of you all are here representing a corporation or a company? Okay, and then how many of you are here representing an organization or a workforce development agency? Okay, so, and then everybody else, education? Okay, good. So that was a good guess. I guess I should be moderating. No, I'm just saying. So I guess the first thing that I want to ask the panel is, can you give us a little bit of perspective? If I'm an employer looking to hire, whether it's the masses or just that really good, ready-to-hire candidate, or if I'm an agency, workforce development agency looking to prepare ready-to-hire talent, or if I'm an education professional that's, trying to get students engaged in their career goals. So let's start with you.
I'm an employer always ready to hire. I lead our, so I do work for Accenture, so I am Gigi's colleague and buddy, as we like to call each other. I lead our North America entry-level recruiting, so I recruit for all across the United States as well as for Canada. Our company has made the decision that 20% of our entire entry-level workforce will be apprenticeships. So that is non-traditional, non-degreed individuals coming in to the workforce as consultants, just like we would hire off campus or young professionals as well. If you were asking me why, I think apprentices are sticky. A lot of times I think, and there's a place for everybody, but with our apprentices, they want to really do the job, right? Like they are excited about a very specific thing that technology is really what most of Accenture's apprenticeships are in, and they're excited about being software developers, putting their hands on keyboards, doing the work, and sometimes we get a lot of analysts in who want to try a lot of different things. And so it has been a great investment for us to just get a mix of the workforce, and we've been doing it since 2016. 3 years ago, we made the decision that we weren't just going to hire at a number, but we would really hire as a percentage moving forward. And it has just broadened and diversified our workforce. We've been able to retain apprentices longer than we are able to retain our analyst population. And so I think it's just been a good investment for our company, for our business. And so that's why we continue to invest.
Awesome. So that was a great explanation. We kind of started at the end result of the pipeline. So now we're going to go to the city, our representative Sherry here, and she's going to talk about, or I'm asking you to please talk about, how do you prepare that ready to hire workforce, and then how do you also connect with the employers?
So the City of Charlotte has 21 different departments, and each department represents a different industry. So in my role, working with all of the departments, it's important to understand their needs. So doing a needs analysis first to understand what positions are hard to fill, what positions are highly skilled, and matching them with opportunities to have a registered occupation. So we are registered with the Department of Labor, and that was the first step for the city to get that registration so that we can have our occupations registered so our apprentices can get their credentials, their journey worker credentials at the end of being skilled and competent in those roles. Also, it's about sharing that information with our external partners and for them to help for them to understand those positions so that they can better equip their clients and their students to understand what they are, because a lot of apprenticeship occupations, the names, the titles of them, people aren't familiar with them and they don't know what goes into it. So for us, we have roundtable discussions inviting our external partners, which includes workforce development agencies as well as schools, so that they can learn more about those occupations. And getting them ready, we have a whole outline because it is registered. There are standards that we follow, and that's really important to follow those standards and equip the apprentices with all the things that they need. And this is helping with intergenerational mobility. We are employing our community, those that do have barriers or have a challenge getting into those great careers. An apprenticeship is not just a job, it is a career. And Apprenticeship NC says it best. Apprenticeships are the new trade school. So we are proud as the city to have 18 registered apprenticeships. We are apprenticeship ambassadors. We have been recognized by the federal government as such. And we have 3 apprenticeships that are in the pipeline to be registered. So we are, really ready for this.
What are those 3 programs? Or what occupations are your top 3? Let's ask that.
Top 3, utility technician with Charlotte Water. And that was one of the first ones that were registered. And Eddie, he can speak on that because he came through that first cohort. And I'm proud to say, and we do have some Charlotte Water representatives here as well, to say that occupation, that is the position, an apprenticeship to start. There's no regular hires in that role. A new one that has just come up, and they're in the process of interviewing, doing their interviews, is CATS, our department CATS. the rail maintenance technician, and we have a few members from CATS here, so if anyone wants to speak with them afterwards as well. We also have a Mason apprenticeship with CDOT, and it's just really a great opportunity. It's a game changer for our community and for the families, because now those individuals are gainfully employed and are doing great things for their families in the community.
That's awesome. And for those that don't know what exactly an apprenticeship is, right? So the Department of Labor in DC, what they have are multiple occupations in multiple different industries. So with those occupations, once you register your program, let's say you want to hire a manufacturing tech, right? I'm with Corning, so let's just say it's a manufacturing technician. You would get your on-the-job training schedule, your work process schedule together. So basically that is what they're going to be doing while they're with you, what kind of on-the-job training you have, whether it's safety and OSHA, all the way to professional development or like Company 101, whatever that is. And then you also have your related technical instruction. So those are the first two things. That related technical instruction usually either takes place in-house with trainers and training, or you can connect with like a Charlotte Works, or you can connect with CPCC to get that training taken care of. And then the third component of an apprenticeship program is the scalable wage. And that's really what helps to hold the employer responsible, right, or accountable for that apprentice, because you know you don't want to teach somebody how to swim and then throw them in shark-infested waters. So that's really the structure of the apprenticeship program. It's a means to really start somebody on that career lattice, which is very important, especially in today's climate. You want to make sure that you have somewhere to be in 5 years. It's going to be better than you are now, better than where you are now. And I wanted to move to Eddie to talk a little bit about, you know, the process, right? So you're in a program, you get the apprenticeship, and then you excel, right? So talk to us a little bit about what initially made you want to seek this out, and then how the experience was.
First of all, thank you. I feel honored. When I first started, I was looking for a career, not just a job, and that's basically what most people are looking for, and they don't know where to look at. So if you are an employer, a company, or even the city, if you open this window so they can see what they're looking for, certainly somebody's going to apply. And those people that are looking for a career, like me, that I was looking for one, I saw the opportunity and I took it. So at first it was hard, like every job. But when I saw it was not just me on the bottom, that I was able to go up in different positions, that nobody was taking them. Because when I first started, I saw some people that was 10 years, 15 years on the same position. I was like, why are you staying on the same position where you can grow? So, and I saw the opportunity within, a year and a half. I became a crew chief. I have my own group of people I was managing. And my goal was to be a construction inspector. When I developed my knowledge and I saw the opportunity, I took it again. And now I'm standing right here in front of you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Let's go back to Nicole. So at this point, we've kind of backed through the pipeline, right? So you start with that desire to build your career, do more. You connect with an agency that can help to get you in a program and training, and then you get hired by the company. So I guess for this audience, Nicole from Accenture, how do you go about starting this conversation? What does it look like to build an apprenticeship program? Who do you talk to? What do you talk to them about? How do internally, and these are a lot of questions, I'm sorry. But internally, how do you get that buy-in?
I was following. As I mentioned earlier, Accenture started in 2016. So we've been doing it a while. It kind of started very similar to probably City of Charlotte and Sherry, you were talking about. I think we were altruistically, really trying to make a commitment. So we actually joined with another company called Aon, and said that between us, we wanted to hire 10 apprentices. We found that there was a gap really in the technology space, and the number of people that we had access to that were getting degrees. In 2016, Amazon and Google, or I should say Meta, were hiring at a rate that was killing us, quite frankly. So we had a talent gap. And what we did was say, hey, if we have a talent gap, is there an opportunity in the market? Are there boot camps? Are there individuals that are getting skilled that we could bring in to Accenture? We brought them into our CIO organization at first. So that's our internal technology group. And it worked really well, right? We started small. Those individuals now, we've 2 years ago, very similar. Eddie became a manager, so she is leading a team and working. Not everybody stayed, right? It wasn't the job that they expected, but they wanted a career job. So we really just followed the talent gaps, and we have done that since. So now we are across, as Gigi mentioned, Accenture is a professional services or consulting firm. So we, many of you have been our clients before, but we serve other clients. But we bring apprentices on just like we would analysts to projects, and they learn to be a consultant. And we've just followed talent gaps from there. So a lot of it is just selling to each of the services. Hey, you can't find this talent in the market. It would be better to grow it from the bottom up. And here's the benefits. And like I said, then 3 years ago, we really said holistically as a company within North America, we know that apprenticeships are, the way of the future, right? We don't think that everybody is going to go to college either for financial reasons or just because it, makes more sense for them to continue into the workforce immediately, even after high school. Our company's large enough, we've been able to try a couple of different models. So we do have some registered apprenticeships. The majority of our apprenticeships are actually unregistered. It just made more sense for our company. We also work with CareerWise in New York, which is a youth apprentice program, and we hire high schoolers. But we didn't start large, so that's I think the biggest thing is we started with a very small group niche. We had a manager who was willing to try. We did it with another company, so we were able to do a lot of the training that she's talking about. We did it together collectively, and then we're able to hire them from there. So I think that's probably my biggest technique is start small. We try to get to a cohort of 2. 5 is ideal, but we try to get to a cohort of 2 so that you always have a buddy along the way, and then go from there.
Thank you. That's, am I on? No. Nope. Am I on? Oh, there I am. Okay, I think that's great advice to start small. I think that, like with Corning, when you have a really big concept with a lot of people that need to buy into it, it's easier to, the priority of it to be low. But I wanted to ask you quickly, what's the incentive for a company to register an apprenticeship program versus to not?
Good question. She asked the hard question. So consulting is interesting, right? Our business, when you register an apprenticeship, there's a lot of things that you have to follow as kind of standard. And so for us, because our services will vary so widely, it did not make sense in every instance to register the apprenticeship. We still follow the same model, though. So we are still training and setting, we're working with partners that, and I describe them as boot camps because a lot of it we're hiring from technology boot camps, but we're working with an Empower or UPro nationally to really bring in talent, and they've kind of trained them at a base level. We've committed from an Accenture perspective, so our apprenticeships are a year. It's a 12-month paid apprenticeship, and it's work, it's earn and learn, right? And so we have the same model. They are, as long as you're performing well, you're guaranteed at the end of that year a increase in salary and potentially a promotion, depending on kind of how you performed and where you're working from there. So we follow the same model, but it's just where we are unable to kind of guarantee the consistency of the type of work, and again, I think it's a nature of consulting, we have not registered. Where there are places where we are, guaranteed consistency of work, we've registered those. So that's just the variance.
Okay, I hope that everybody understood that. But when you register too, I think there's incentives involved, right? When you register with the government, depending on which state you're in, depending on the nature of your company, the nature of the individuals that you're trying to bring in as apprentice, there's different incentives, like a GI Bill. They can receive their housing or their training money. They can, if they're a certain level under the poverty level, they can receive different funding for training and things like that. So there is a lot of incentive with registering. And I want to come back to you, Sherry, to talk a little bit about your apprenticeship model, because your model is a little bit different than a corporation's model would be. When a corporation comes to you and says, hey, we want to hire, but maybe you don't have that occupation registered, how do you deal with that?
So I work just with the City of Charlotte departments, and if they come to me, a department may come to me, the hiring, the HR manager or a division manager, and they say, listen, we are interested in having an apprenticeship program for this particular occupation. We have some people that are about to retire, because it also helps with succession planning and getting that intellectual property captured. But they want to explore it. It wasn't like that in the beginning. I started out at Charlotte Water, and it's a change management process. And so one of the things, and I'm just going to double back a little bit and then I'll go forward. One of the things I would say too, depending on your industry, is to do some due diligence. What I did was researched utilities all around the country, from San Francisco all the way up to New York. And luckily, I was able to get the gatekeepers that were doing those apprenticeship programs so that I can hear about the pros and cons, the successes and challenges. And I was able to take that information back to Charlotte Water and say, well, in St. Louis, this is what they're doing, this is the successes, this is the length of time they've had it. And that helped with the buy-in. When you know that other people are doing it around the country, you don't want to be left behind. And so that definitely was an added plus. So when a department comes to me and they want to have a position, the first thing you have to do is research and make sure that that position is apprenticeable. So you want to make sure that it's listed on the Department of Labor. You need to understand that sometimes the names that are on those lists may not match the name that you have for that occupation. So you have to look on ONET and research and see, okay, what are the skills? What are the tasks? I ask the people in the department, I need a job description. What are some of the skills a person will learn? So it's a lot of matching. It's not a easy or a short process for sure, but it's definitely well worth it, because now you're not only helping with designing that program, but you're also helping with that occupation to have a very intentional and specific skills competency list. So anyone that comes into that role afterwards can see exactly what that position entails. And that really helps with succession planning. It helps with, being an organized and standardized type of company. So we have all different types of apprenticeships. And my team and I, Brandon Grant and Melissa Huggins, we are working on a menu of positions, because with the City of Charlotte having 21 departments, we have over 300 occupations. And it's every industry, and things go from GED to PhD. So it's a lot of opportunity. And so we want to have that menu, so when they do come to us, we'll already have them registered, because submitting those documents to the Department of Labor, Apprenticeship NC is who we use, can take a while. It could take a few months. So you want to, if you can have it on the front end, and kind of project and see, and just by having those conversations and know they are getting ready to grow in this area, we may want to make that an apprenticeship. Let's see if it's an apprenticeable occupation, and let's get it registered so it could be ready to go. So that's our method.
Thank you. And that there are some things in there that maybe other people don't know. So ONET, write that down. That is the government's website where you can receive templates, where you can receive job descriptions based on the occupations that you're looking to apprentice. And then you also said Apprenticeship NC. So here in North Carolina, they are the consultants that would help you create and build your program. They're consultants. They're free to use, and their job is to really help. Because, like we were saying with the buy-in, right? People usually don't want to buy in because it's like, oh, we got to fill out all this paperwork. We got to get legal involved. In my case, the
In all our cases, it's
right,
okay.
right. So it can be a little bit cumbersome to get it started, and that's what a lot of where the hesitation comes in. So that consultant is a godsend, right? Is it Sylvia?
Sylvia Jones.
Sylvia Jones is our representative in this region. And like I said, when you go out of state or if you're represented in multiple states or globally like I am, there's representatives for every region in each state. Something else I wanted, so the benefits of registering an apprenticeship program. So the standardization of the role, right? Right now we have a lot of generations in one workforce. So, getting that transfer of historical knowledge, and I'm mainly apprenticizing manufacturing roles, so you can understand somebody that's a 40-year plus employee that knows that machine, that's lived that machine when it breaks, that has an intimate relationship with that machine. When that newbie comes in, fresh out of high school, trying to rigmarole or not really taking the time, no shade, it's really important that you have that transfer of intellect, knowledge, understanding. It's like that manual car, like third gear is a little tricky. You need to be able to share that information. The third thing is the cultivation and the retention of those individuals. Like we said before, and like Eddie alluded to or said, when you start a job knowing that in 5 years I'm going to be making $5 more an hour, or I'm going to be in a training position, or this company cares about me, I'm going to be able to take my kids to Disney this year. Those are the things that help people to stay in the role, that help people come to work excited, passionate, and pointing things out that need to be pointed out. But Eddie, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the process. How do you feel like the apprenticeship process helped you kind of get to where you are now as far as the related technical instruction? What did that look like for you?
For me, is when you have the key people that is going to help you out. One of the things that you were mentioning is about having people that have all the knowledge and be transferring the knowledge to new people. So when you have people like that that is willing to teach, even inside your own corporation, in this case Charlotte Water, there was people that were willing to teach me all the knowledge. And of course, I'm a people person, and I'm easy to deal with, and so I was able to grab all the knowledge, and when you have that, in Charlotte Water, we created a culture. So when you have a culture inside your organization, in this case Charlotte Water, that is not only you keeping the knowledge, but you transferring the knowledge to other people. And in this case, the apprenticeship, as I was coming up, I encountered these people. Like on my team, there was a guy from Jamaica. He's 67 years old, but he can do more than everybody here together. He was the man. And he was like, Eddie, don't worry. If you're with me, you don't have to worry about nothing. No job's too small or too big. So this guy helped me out so much, even when I was in my role as a manager, as a crew chief. So he was able to help me out a lot. So when you have people like that is willing to teach others, it's going to be easier in your travel.
Thank you for that. And that brings up a good point. So the incumbent workforce, right? So apprenticeship is all about new hires for the most part, but your incumbent workforce automatically with this program kind of become your trainers or mentors on the floor or in the office. And I think that that's an actual added bonus too, because you get folks that are getting an opportunity to train or to mentor somebody that maybe didn't have that. Maybe you were about to leave next week, right? And this, you know, on the floor, maybe you're bringing in all these new folks and they're getting $1 more an hour and they're getting training and all this stuff. What am I getting? I've been here 10 years. So it allows you to create a program for your incumbent workforce as well, and even give them incentive or pay increase options so they can jump on a career lattice, so you're not leaving anybody behind. And I wanted to talk a little bit next about the difference between internship and apprenticeship. I think that a lot of folks, and I guess I'm maybe in this category now, but they use the words interchangeably. And just being in this industry for, you know, as long as I have been, I noticed that they're two very different terms when you're talking government, registration, all those good things. So Nicole, you tell us a little bit about, I was coming to you.
The turn, I felt it.
Right. Dun, dun, dun.
You sat there.
I know, I did. I was waiting. I agree. Even for us in Accenture, we had to really scrub away the term for apprenticeship, and it means something explicit. And globally, it means something explicit. Internship, I'll cheat to that one first, is normally a short-term summer, tends to be summer, but certainly opportunity. It tends to be for individuals that are still in school, seeking a bachelor's degree. And what we have really done globally is define that and kind of ring fence those types of individuals. We'll also hire co-ops as well. That one kind of gets in there. Also, co-ops are during the school year. You normally get credit for those programs. And then what we've said, Accenture globally, is apprenticeships are, for us, year-long programs. I would say time varies by organization. But they are meant as a workforce development program. So again, I mentioned we're earn and learn. So we do all of the training while you're on the job, similar to what Eddie's talking about now, right? We assign buddies and you are working with that person, but it is meant as a career starting place. An internship for us, although most of our interns do get job offers, it's not a guaranteed job offer. An apprenticeship is a job. They're a full-time hire with all the benefits that come with that. They, again, as long as they're performing well within the year, as she talked about, they have promotable increase in compensation, promotable opportunities into the next level. Internships are just an opportunity to kind of try a job, right? That might not be where you're going to fit long term. Many companies don't guarantee that an internship turns into full-time employment either. And so I think sometimes, for me, internships are goodwill. Right, we're doing the right thing by the community, letting people test jobs. Whereas for apprenticeships, we're really looking for career mobility. Right, we're looking for individuals that want to start with us and are really there to continue to build skills and move forward in the company. I do think, though, internships or types of internships are a good trial run. So if you are like, oh, apprenticeships sound too long, 6 months sounds too long, I'm not sure if my company's going to be able to do that. We actually Accenture started what we call the Skills to Succeed program, and it was an internship, but we went and got the same individuals that we would have focused on for apprenticeships, so non-degreed individuals. We actually gave them internships first, right? And it was a good test run. We still had all the things built in. We had a training that they would do beforehand. We would assign them a buddy when they got there. It was just a shorter term, 10-week program. But it got people, if you have managers that are struggling, like, I don't know if I really can expose myself to the workforce. I like this type of candidate, right? It got them in a different level of exposure, and to see that there's such an open market for talent and they need to be a little bit more open-minded. So I do think that there are cases where if you're like, apprenticeship sounds like a lot, I'm not ready to register, I'm not ready to do a non-registered program, that you might want to consider doing some type of internship or, job shadowing. I know the CPCC was mentioning it earlier, as a way to kind of start into apprenticeship as well.
Thank you. I wanted to check in, Gigi. Are we ready for Q&A? Yes. Well, yes. Let's hear from all of our panelists before we go to Q&A. We'll start with you.
Okay, thank you. I was busting at the seams because I love this. So, the city of Charlotte has, of course, the registered apprenticeship programs, and because the buy-in can be challenging, especially in the beginning, we recognize that, and so we have a program called a Career Training Academy Internship, CTA. And a CTA, we have actually 30 occupations within that group of internships. And it is structured very similar to an apprenticeship program where, you have your skills, you have your soft skills and essential skills that are taught to you as well. It's a great way for the community to get their foot in the door and to learn a position so that they can be gainfully employed. It's 6 months and our apprenticeships range from 1 year to 4 years. It just depends on what that apprenticeable occupation is. And just like an apprenticeship, you don't have to have any previous skill set to do that work. It's literally to be trained up, skilled up in a position. Now, it is paid as well as with benefits. There is not necessarily a guaranteed opportunity at the end. However, our Career Training Academy participants, they work really hard. We're not here to leave anyone on the side of the road. So it acts as our pool. So if that particular department, that occupation is not available for them at the end of that 6 months, they could either get it extended and or go to another department and have a position that's more aligned with their previous experiences as well as their new skills that they've gained in that role. It has been an amazing opportunity for so many. We actually have Melissa Huggins on our team that came through that program, and it's a help because a lot of people, they apply for positions for years and years with no callback, but because all you need is a high school diploma, GED, and a willingness to learn and work hard, it gives so many more people that opportunity. And we actually have it for co-ops as well because we're recognizing that college students, some of them have to work as waitresses, babysitters, short order cooks. They can't work in their field of study. When they graduate, they can't get that job that they studied for because they don't have that experience. They have the degree, but not the experience. So we have Career Training Academy co-op for them to increase their social capital, provide them with that experience. It is 6 months. And Corp Communication, they had recognized, and Alicia, you can raise your corporate communication, which is another department within the city, they recognized that technical writing was a challenge for people going into communications. And so they came to our team and requested a CTA co-op, and they wanted to identify a particular, area, and we were able to help them source that. And she starts Monday. Yes. And so, that's going to help that individual as well as the industry by they're going to be developing great technical writers. So I can't see. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. Oh. Okay.
Okay, we're gonna jump to Q&A real quick. I'm gonna shift gears.
What questions?
Yes.
Wait, hang on, let me,
You're gonna.
do you want to give him the mic?
Good morning. Thank you for that information. To Sylvia, your CTA program, are those team members that you're bringing on, are they full-time benefited employees or are they roster employees? How does that work within the city?
They're not considered FTEs. They are long-term temporary employees, but they do get benefits, which is great because working for the city of Charlotte after 5 years, you're vested into the retirement system. And so if they start on their day one, their timeline starts. And then when they're hired full-time, hopefully, then they will continue with that. So it's not like starting over. And they have a particular pay range that they are in. It's not like an apprenticeship where it's a wage scale progression.
And I was just going to say real quick, so the apprenticeship programs can be in 2 different ways, one or hybrid, right? It could be time-based, competency-based, or both. So the timing of the actual program can vary. And once you're registering, it's all customizable by you. But next question?
Let's take the back
Yeah.
corner.
Hi, my name is Veronica. Thank you all for your time. I very much appreciate this session. My question was if you all could speak to apprenticeships involving creative industries. So I work at an organization that's trying to promote the digital creative industry with our youth in Charlotte. So if you all could provide, I don't know, any insight you have in those particular industries or other ones that people may not assume when you think of apprenticeships.
So we actually, Accenture has a service unit that it's called Song, which, we wanted to be creative with the name. But it's our digital marketing and innovation practice, among other things. So we look for people who, do everything from Gigi's nodding at me because she's in the organization. She's like, I'm ready, Nicole, ready. But they've been hiring apprentices in that space for a while. So we look for we started out looking for coders. So they obviously from the back end needed to build the coding language and then brought them in there to do that. We're actually looking for creative writers now. And so, they have been really successful finding kind of a broad stroking environment of individuals. A lot of creatives tend to be on TikTok and on all kinds of other social media platforms. And so we have really partnered with some of our local organizations in identifying individuals that want to go into the creative practice. It's been an interesting group to work with. It's a little bit harder. I think it's non-traditional to technology, which we tend to hire for, but there's definitely a lot of openness. Many of the creatives come from a broad stroking background. So we're hiring in that space. I said both from the technical side as well as in the kind of creative writing, which is where much of our business sits in.
I was just going to add one of my favorite apprentices is a Roblox developer out of the UK, and he worked with us on our Changiverse project, so building the replica of Changi Airport in Singapore on Roblox. So the sky's kind of the limit.
Yeah. I mean, that's the cool thing with that side of the house is you can be a gamer, right? And it translates into corporate America, at least for us.
Can I add to that? And I will definitely have to talk to you, Nikki, after. But this is not an apprenticeship, but the Mayor's Youth Employment Program, if you're interested in the youth, they have a pool of youth that are really interested in the digital age area. So the workforce development team, we are actually going to have a MyUp employee for the summer as a digital marketer. And so I would be interested to see how you've crafted your program. But that's to give them that taste of it. So
So we've got about 5 more minutes. I want to make sure we have time for questions.
Hi, Sherry. So, talking about the youth, are you guys or anyone, the question is, from a workforce recruitment standpoint, are you hitting our youth high school or are you tapping into the middle school to get them on that path?
Hello. So I can talk a little bit about that. I work very centrally in early career pipeline development. So I work with 5th graders all the way up to college, community college, and just college age interns, apprentice, right? So for the younger folks, it's mainly STEM education. I run a choices or STEM awareness. With our fiber broadband training program that we run, it's a 40-hour so apprenticeship, then pre-apprenticeship, right? And with the youth, I focus on pre-apprenticeship, the short-term vocational training to kind of skill them up for an apprenticeship program. So what that looks like for us is really working with them on learning the industry jargon, learning the tools, learning the what the day-to-day looks like, getting guest speakers to come into the classroom. Our fiber program, and we have several different programs in Corning, but our fiber broadband technician training program, literally the folks that you see digging trenches, lay the fiber, connecting the unconnected, that whole thing. We implant those into the community colleges. We implant those into community organizations just because and then in CTE programs as well, right? We just applied for it to be a CTE program, which takes, I heard, 2 years and some change to get it officially registered, but that's in the works. And then we also are very engaged with Skills USA. Skills USA, and I'm manufacturing, right? So Skills USA is a great opportunity to engage students. The competition, I think, is in Atlanta, the huge conference with the competitions, all that. So yes, there are a lot of good ways to engage youth in the school system. Guest speaking, site visits, shadow days, like Nicole mentioned, mentorship opportunities, awareness days where we come out to the school, and then getting our employees engaged right back into the community. So, and there's a lot of money too floating around that can also help to support these, because it's all about awareness, especially in what I do, fiber broadband technology. Kids don't know what that means, what it is, what's a fiber tech, you know what I mean? So that awareness piece, or even manufacturing, they don't want to work in their grandfather's dirt floor manufacturing facility. So just creating that awareness that, excuse me, these are clean facilities, they're safe, this is what we do to keep the facility safe. You can work, they can see their lifestyle, right, in the workplace. You can drive your F-150, you can take your kids to vacation, you can do travel ball, and you can still have a viable paycheck career and potential to grow. So I think that it's so important, and I know there's educators in here, and I'm sorry that we didn't talk to you all more, but we can talk after. And Eddie, I definitely want to hear some final comments from you and all the panelists if we have a little bit more time.
We have 2 minutes left. I just want to make sure that we're not missing any. You had a question? Yes, I do. Quick. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for participating in this panel. It's been really great. My question is, at what point do a traditional entry-level path and a apprenticeship path kind of converge? Is it at the end of the apprenticeship program, or is it later on in a career? I know Eddie's obviously made it very far. What does that look like as far as career growth goes?
And it probably depends, Sherry, I'm guessing, for you on the job. So she's mentioned a couple where the apprenticeship is the entry point for her job. For us, they converge after a year, right? And so we are really growing an apprentice so that they can be an analyst, which is our start place. And we believe after a year of working with the company, they are analyst ready. And so then the trajectory stays the same, right? It's cadenced in terms of that. Like once you're with us, there's no additional steps you have to take as an apprentice to kind of prove yourself. You're a part of the company, you're a full-time employee, you have all the rights and benefits, from there.
Yeah, so I work with refugees, so it's a very different population. Some come with education and some don't. So how would you market apprenticeships to either of those populations? Especially when they think that they just have to go to the warehouse and just work like that just to provide for their family.
Yes, and that is definitely something that we are being more intentional with, especially going forward. And what we're trying to do is get ambassadors from the city that can effectively communicate with them so that they can share the opportunities, like Eddie, like Estrada, to be able to say, listen, this is the opportunity that we have and the city is here. The city wants to reflect what the community is looking like. And as well as having our brochures and materials translated in different languages so that, they will be able to read what the offerings are. And I encourage you to go downstairs. We do have a table with some brochures and information. I would love if you would take some so that you can share that as well, but that's something that we're working on.
And we're hiring refugees directly as well. It's a population we're trying to source from. I think our biggest barrier is language, right? So because we hire non-degreed individuals and degreed individuals, the skill set exists within the refugee population, but so much of professional service organization and consulting is communicating. And if you're in the U.S., it's communicating in English. And so that we've spent a lot of time really working with some of our partners on just practicing English. So we've been doing a lot of buddy systems so you can get on the phone and just talk business, right? And business acumen in English first and foremost before you're going on interviews and things like that. We also globally created a refugee recruiting team that is bilingual in varying formats, or refugees themselves, which has helped us as well because they can communicate, talk about kind of the barriers to work. But it's still something we're learning and working on, because it's definitely a different population that we're trying to serve as well.
Thank you. I hate to bring this to a close, but these guys are here. Excellent panel. This is an exciting world for us all. Oh, it's Mike. Sorry. Oh, sorry. They're here for. They're here for questions during the break if you didn't get a chance to ask yours, and just wanted to thank you all for your attention and for helping make a positive impact on Charlotte.